Welcome back. Retail Therapy. My name's Will DeFries. Barrett Dudley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I was looking forward to coming in here and just talking about how the vibes had shifted, but apparently they might not be shifting anymore. So, we're going to have to dive into that here in a minute. But yeah, now I'm not sure what to do with myself.
They're constantly shifting, Barrett. The vibes are never shifting. And that's something that's only going to benefit us as this podcast grows into its own and becomes what it needs to become.
That's true.
I actually recently threw over to the listenership over at Retail Therapy on Instagram at Retail Pod, if you guys are looking. And I got several responses of things. Do you want me to throw out some of these things that people said?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. This was from yesterday, so it's officially closed. Let's see what people said. One person said, companies are demanding that their workers come back to the office. Not ideal. Clean girl is shifting to vanilla girl. Someone said, not sure the nuance, but it's happening. Do you want to look up vanilla girl real quick to see what we have going on?
You keep reading and let me figure out what vanilla girl is. Oh, no.
Olive oil martinis might be in, but we've got some drink. We got some drink news later in this episode, so I'll hold off on that. People are saying Carhartts everywhere. I have another person, Barrett, saying clean girl goes into vanilla girl. We might just need to do a full live update to this rundown.
Jeez, okay, all right.
The grunge style coming real quick. I mean, I'm actually very happy with some of the things that people submit. A lot of people were wanting us to talk about the Fear of God Birkenstock collaboration. I saw some slides from that I actually very much enjoyed.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
What's Vanilla Girl?
Vanilla Girl is the aesthetic leans into luxe, cozy minimalism. It's heavy on easygoing outfits and cozy, tactile textures and airy neutral colors like white, beige, cream, and vanilla. So it sounds like it's a cozy winter aesthetic that TikTok is loving right now. And I can see the similarities between Clean Girl and Vanilla Girl here. It sounds like they both have like that same kind of minimal and a lot of neutral tones going on.
It seems like
Clean Girl is maybe leaning like more modern athleisure Hailey Bieber, and this is maybe leaning into a little bit more into like the Hygge vibes.
Hygge.
Is it Hygge?
Hygge.
I mean, I don't know, Will. Is it Hygge?
Barrett, trust me, as somebody who is very afraid.
This is a pronunciation that you feel very confident on.
I feel reasonably confident. And part of the reason I say that is because I've said it numerous times on Scaries, and I've not been corrected yet. That being said, after the Loewe gate, I'll never really be able to be fully comfortable in front of a microphone ever again. It's always scary to say a new company name. I mean, it's just frightening. You don't trust me here, do you? You're looking up Hygge.
I gotta look this up because when this aesthetic was like really trending, almost like pre-TikTok setting all the trends. It was more like Refinery 29 pushing this stuff out.
That's a blast from the past.
I always thought that they do like the little parentheses to help you with the pronunciation. I always thought it was with a H, like a HUH kind of thing. But Hygge, huh?
Hard to say.
Yeah,
literally.
Okay. Well, I
feel like you can be a clean girl and a vanilla girl at the same time.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, because when you think about clean girl or it girl or the blend of those two, do you really think about cozy necessarily?
To be honest, when I think of the clean girl vibe, I do think a little coziness, or maybe I just think of kind of just togetherness. Like your place is organized.
Yeah.
You have a very organized pantry.
Yeah.
You just keep a clean environment around you. And I don't mean that because it's clean girl. I just mean kind of like an organized. You're a little particular about these things. But I feel like vanilla girl, you can still be cozy and organized and whatever.
Well, let me what I'm going to do here is I actually had this up for to discuss later, but now that we're on to vanilla girl, I was talking to you about this last week. Mm-hmm. And I had it penciled in to kind of talk about it at another juncture here on the podcast today. But I have been, on Instagram, the Explorer page, it really feeds into things that you're liking and saving and gives you more of that. Like it doesn't really want to show you new things. It wants to show you more of what you like. And one of the things that I'm just getting inundated with now has been like winter fashion, women's winter fashion exclusively in like wonderful, beautiful European locations. Mm-hmm. So I keep clicking on, on things like this post right now. I've come over to my Explore page, and I'm not seeing a geotag on this one, but the only geotags I'm getting right now are like Prague,
Oh,
Paris.
I don't know where she is, but she's in Copenhagen.
Milan, Copenhagen. Yeah. Yes, like
she's in
Minsk,
Brussels,
right? Like and
Dusseldorf, right there. Yeah,
and the and okay, yeah, and the aesthetic I think is definitely it might be this Vanilla Girl thing that we're talking about, because it is a lot of like warm looking sweaters and coats and like comfortable looking pants and jeans, and it's like it's very attractive and it's feminine, but it's definitely it's not like revolved sexy. Do you know what I mean?
I truly think that this entire look and everything is straight up derived from just people and streetwear culture in their early to mid 20s, just in like London and places like that, because they've been doing this and I know this because I follow enough Love Island personalities.
Okay.
Whether they're in the millions of followers, whether they're in the tens of thousands of followers, I follow enough at this point to know that these Europeans people have been posting photos like this. They go to those picturesque streets with these beautiful buildings that have been there for so long.
100-year-old buildings.
They're wearing these like nice looking sweaters, these clean jackets, these perfectly fitting jeans with some expensive boots or some like overpriced sneakers, whatever. Trainers. I'm sorry.
Trainers. Yes.
But yeah, it's I think it's something about mixing that like old school European architecture with like the new streetwear. It almost makes it look like you're like in a museum or something. You're like visiting for a little bit. I kind of love it though.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Vanilla Girl. Maybe I just figured out what this is that I'm continually being served.
I want to give a big shout out to all the Vanilla Girls out there.
Yeah.
We see you. The clean girls too.
Yeah.
We haven't forgotten about you.
No, we have not forgotten about you.
Hey, before we get into today's meat or fish for all of my pescatarian January boys out there, major shouts.
The meat of today's episode? Is that where you were going?
Exactly. It depends if you're listening to this at home. It's the fish, but if you're listening to this out and you're a social omnivore, then we'll get into the meat of the episode.
Right.
After that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Go follow us on Instagram at retail.pod. It's the best way to get a hold of us. It's the best way to keep up with everything. Second best way to keep up with everything is the Substack. Go to willdefreeze.substack.com. We do listener companions for this episode, for every episode. It's got links to everything you need, from the articles we talk about to the Instagram accounts to TikTok accounts to just our wish list. Make it happen. Just go subscribe. And finally, you can watch every Retail Therapy episode at youtube.com/Sunday Scaries Podcast. Again, that's youtube.com/Sunday Scaries Podcast. Every single piece of what I just said is in the description of this episode. Let's not waste any time. Barrett, New York Times. I feel like they're treading a little bit in some water that they don't want to be treading in, but they knew that they had to, just because the vibes have shifted so much that now they're like, all right, I guess we got to start talking about this like hip shit that the kids are doing.
Like, you think that they've gotten themselves into this position where they have to talk about the vibes all the time, and they don't really want to be talking about the vibes all the time?
Maybe a little bit. I also think that there's people who contributed to this column who listen to Retail Therapy but aren't going to say that they listen to Retail Therapy. Much like how the social media manager at Poosh for sure follows Sunday Scaries and just redoes a lot of the stuff that I do, which is very cool.
Yeah.
New York Times put out a column.
Poosh sounds like a bar that Stefan would have talked about on SNL.
Well, I said something to Sally. About this. I was like, yeah, should I be annoyed that Poosh is like ripping me? And she goes, well, they ripped Goop's entire brand.
I mean, I don't even know what Poosh is.
It is Kourtney Kardashian's wellness vertical. That is just Diet Goop, and her way of promoting herself, promoting her sisters, promoting whoever else is with her, while also selling product. Just know that if you ever click through on a Poosh link on Instagram, it is a promoted link that they benefit from the entire time. Any of their original content has nothing to do with actual content. It all has to do with just moving one single product.
Okay.
The New York Times put out a column called 13 Predictions for Life in 2023. I originally thought this would be wellness-based and things like that, but this is really trend-based. And a lot of this stuff is in line with things that we've talked about, whether it's been in our In and Out list episode, whether it's just during one of the casual vibe shifts that we feel in the middle of an episode, or whether it's just something that we've never even touched on. All this stuff feels generally familiar. Should we just do this like a line item right now, Barrett?
Yeah.
This says no more vibes. Couldn't disagree more with their first point here. The vibes are always shifting. It's not stopping anytime soon. And if anything, I think people, as we might enter a possible recession, I think people are going to go off vibe more than anything. I'm not saying the vibes are going to be good, but I don't think we're getting rid of vibes. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that they were trying to. So there are several things on this list here with with their trend predictions for life in 2023. Feel very much like wishful thinking to me. We're gonna get to one especially that's just like totally just like nope, that's definitely not happening. Um, but this one I think is kind of falls into that category where it's like 2021, 2022. And as we just led this podcast off with, it's just kind of like this constant kind of repackaging of this vibe and this aesthetic and that aesthetic. And it changes every 2 weeks because of
Mhm.
TikTok. And like a lot of it's just like the same thing or
I
like
think it's mostly TikTok driven.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, 100%. But it's like reblending like things that we've already been talking about, or we're just renaming things like drinking in moderation to the damp lifestyle, all that type of stuff. And I think that so putting this in the predictions, I feel like is like trying to like kind of squeeze the e-brake on that a
Mhm.
little bit. But I don't think that that's I think because TikTok is probably only getting more and more powerful and stronger. Like I don't really see this I don't see the constantly shifting vibes changing. Now they make one good point here, which is that in the 20 teens we had everything was a mood, right? Like
True.
pull up your Instagram, swipe over to a story, and then drop a sticker on it. And there's probably still a little like button on there that says mood in blue and red gradient text, right?
I never liked the word mood.
So like so now mood became vibe and things weren't like anymore, they were giving. And so it's like it's you know what I mean? Like so the vernacular will change and maybe things won't be so vibey because we stopped saying the word vibe, but no, it's not something I see really happening in 2023.
I think it's even going to get worse. I think that with the Instagram shift of trying to be closer and closer to TikTok every day, Facebook is obviously going to follow that same suit.
Yep.
I don't think that trends are going to slow down in terms of our intake of them and our regurgitation of them. I truly think it's only going to get worse and harder to keep up with. And I think we're all going to have to find our little micro vibe that we kind of fit into and then stick around there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Our next one is comfort in the soft. This essentially just kind of gives a nod to what I would say are, the cozier materials in life, whether it's fur, whether it's a crocheted, AirPod Max cover like they're referencing here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that soft to the touch. They're talking about soft boys and soft girls.
Yeah.
I'm a soft boy for sure.
Yeah, I like this one. This is, I think it just tracks right in with what we were talking about with Vanilla Girl and just like the coziness and the soft coats and the plush pillows and like all that all that type of stuff. Now, there's also been, I feel like a little bit like, are you familiar with what's happening with Ozempic right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to a comedy show the other night, and one of the first things that the opener did was start doing that and start talking about that. And there were a lot of people in the crowd that were like, "What's he talking about right now?" And it was like, "No, okay, let's all explain this to each other."
Did you go to a verboten comedy show?
A what?
A verboten.
I don't know
show?
what that is.
Like, did you see somebody that you'd be embarrassed to say you saw on this podcast?
No, not at all. I went to a Heather McMahon comedy
okay.
show with my wife and with several of her college friends. And
all right.
Full disclosure, I didn't follow her on Instagram before. I still don't follow her now. It was an entertaining show. I enjoyed it. It was nice to be in a theater with a bunch of people cackling.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
The Persona non grata recently performed to like, fully sold out show here recently. I'm not even going to say his name. But he may have jerked off on some ladies.
Oh yeah,
who didn't appreciate.
I
that
spoke to some friends who might have gone to that show. What's up here? What were you saying about the coziness?
Okay, but I was asking you about Ozempic.
Yes,
I assumed that this comedian maybe was talking a little bit about it, or
yes,
yeah,
references. Yeah, it's the new weight loss drug that's going around Hollywood.
Yeah, and it's a diabetes drug.
Correct.
Yes, but it makes you lose weight, and like people like Mindy Kaling have been under fire for like having Ozempic parties.
The Kardashians, and then specifically Kim and Khloe,
yes, are like they basically set this trend of this more voluptuous, rounder, curvaceous like body, right? Mm-hmm. Dragged everybody there over the last half decade.
Oh yeah.
And now that everybody's there, they have to zag. Like that is they cannot. I kind of understand that part, but they feel like they might be trying to pull back in like this like harder edged heroin chic like 90s thing.
See, I don't.
And that would definitely that could potentially go against the soft boys and the soft girls, I feel like.
Okay, I could understand that. I can see that angle. The amount of leather that's been going around, and I don't mean leather in like the soft, supple leather way. I'm talking about leather that's like, I'll kick your ass after I get off my motorcycle and take a shot and a beer.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's so much leather going around that almost looks. I mean, it's a nice material, but I think it's kind of like butting heads with the idea of this. I have seen a lot of my Tumblr follows lately, a lot of people wearing very high end sweatshirts or sweat sets essentially. And that would also feed into this, I think, a little bit. Those high end, $200 cashmere sweatpants that would never existed before. I feel like I'm seeing those things around more, and that might feed into this a little tiny bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that there's an element of like softness and coziness that is probably here to stay for quite some time post-pandemic. Like, I think that's just one thing that we're kind of keeping with us.
I agree. I think everyone's homes have gotten a little cozier over the last few years, and I think that's not something I want to get away from. I don't understand the next one. Supersized lies with a picture of George Santos, and I don't really care about this one at all.
I think we can skip this, and they later go on to the one here. Let's just jump to one. Well, I mean, I could skip pet rats as well,
Barrett,
but
I'm okay with skipping pet rats.
Okay,
no one's getting pet rats.
Honestly, when I saw this on the rundown and I was reading it, I didn't even read pet rats. I was just like,
we're not doing pet rats.
There's 13 things on this list. I'm not making time for the pet rats inclusion.
Yeah. Did you hear about Tyler? No, what happened to Tyler? Oh, dude, Tyler's pet rat ate all his caviar, so he had to cancel his party over in Bushwick. It sucks.
Okay, but I want to jump down here to Revenge of the Normie.
Okay.
Where
I'm glad you went to this one.
This is the one that felt like just super, super wishful thinking. It's basically like, here's a line right here. Americans are going to gravitate towards media, experiences, and political figures that are just regular, and rather wholesome. You just told me that George Santos and his supersized lies was like part of the trend. But we're going to go back to like regular, normal, wholesome politicians in media. That's absolutely not happening. Like, I think the first thing, I think the supersized lies is more realistic. I think the idea of like new realities, truth being what you want it to be, like the continuation of Trump era fake news, and like basically getting to set your own truth, your own set of alternative facts, if you will.
Yeah,
like that's actually what I think is going to continue and get worse and worse and more problematic and more prominent.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. A lot of what they're talking about when it comes to these kids kind of going back to the normie, phase. I mean, what they're doing here is they are using some photos from another article that was recently printed in the New York Times that has to do with kids ditching their cell phones and becoming much more independent, much more into reading, much more into the arts, whatever. And I thought to myself, that's actually a really cool thing. That's a cool concept. I'm glad that kids are going this way. Not all kids are going this way. Right. This is a very special small group of kids in New York City that have decided to do this. And what these I didn't come to this podcast today intending to dunk on some children, but I'm going to do that nonetheless. These kids are nothing different than what we were in high school, or at least what I was in high school. Yeah, I picked up my copy of On the Road by Jack Kerouac and suddenly felt like I was Jack Kerouac, driving through the entirety of the United States and doing drugs. Like, these kids just think they're doing the same thing. They're just ditching their iPhones. We didn't have iPhones. You're essentially just going back to what we were, but you're not doing anything. You're not special.
Yeah.
You're just discovering that there's a life outside of, your cell phone and your textbooks.
I would love to see this trend get bigger and continue. And I mean, I think it's cool that these kids are kind of like taking it upon themselves to do that. And maybe we'll see that proliferate a little bit more. But like, let's call it a trend when the number one job that kids want to have now, when you ask them, is no longer influencer.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the end of shoelaces? Obviously, I'm in on this.
Yeah. So we were way early on the Birkenstock Boston trend. We've had them for years and years, gone through multiple pairs that we've just beat up and then said goodbye to. And like, we've just been living in these things for quite some time.
I know. Everyone's jacking my shit lately. And like, everyone's just wearing these Bostons. And like, I've just had them for so long that I forget that I even been wearing them, I didn't get them just last week.
I think this is an interesting one. Look, like Mule Boy's Instagram has been hot for 18, 24 months now. They mentioned kind of like the puffy slippers, like the Subus and the North Face Thermoballs. And like, obviously we've got a lot of clogs, and Birkenstock Bostons are still super hot. They mentioned Solomons, which have a laceless, just like pull tab
Are
system.
people still caring about Sweet Cokes, or how do you say that?
Sweet Cokes, yeah.
Should I care about those at all?
Sweet Cokes.
They had their moment when I had my eye on them, but they've simply disappeared into the limelight.
They do enough
out of the limelight.
They do enough that's like styles of sandals and clogs and slip-ons and shoes that like I think that they're pretty relevant.
Yeah.
For the next few years, but like they never reached like the critical mass that Solomon has, for example.
And to be honest, the only reason I knew who they were was because I saw them on a collaboration with J. Crew. So I'm not exactly going deep there.
Yeah. And there's obviously some women's stuff mentioned here as well, where it's like loafers and ballet flats and Mary Janes, which Mary Janes is definitely popping up in places like Reformation and Urban Outfitters. And
what are Mary Janes?
That type of thing. Well, I'll show you right here.
Thank you for running that. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it. Yeah, I googled.
It's almost like the private school shoe.
Yeah, I imagine one of the daughters in 10 Things I Hate About You wearing this, like the preppier daughter, not Julia Stiles, but Larissa Olenek of Alex Mack fame.
Can't believe Mack, first ever crush.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Loved her.
Yeah, like here's some like stylized shots off Reformation.
Are people going to be wearing big buckle Birkenstocks all summer?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Birkenstocks will definitely stick through the summer. You mean the ones with like the big buckle?
The giant buckle.
Yeah.
The giant buckle.
I feel like that's a swerve that you'll see as people try to continue to iterate on the Birkenstock Boston, much like I attempted to do for a little while, and then inevitably came back around to the OG. But here's where I wanted to go with this. Just I wanted to ask you a shoe question, because we talked about how TikTok burns through trends. Thinking about the Birkenstock Bostons and the Solomons, I was just thinking, like, in the last few years over the course of the pandemic, I wrote these down. Here's what I feel like we've burned through. Like, all of these shoes were super, super hot and now are like still around and still being worn a lot, but aren't bleeding edge anymore because they saturate so quickly.
Okay.
But like, we did Nike Dunks. We did Air Force Ones. Every girl still has like their crunchy white pair of Air Force Ones, especially if you're sub 25. Solomon's now has a collaboration with everybody from Kith to Hidden to whoever else.
I'm trash. I'm out here following like Solomon like fan accounts on like Instagram and shit. Yeah, like what am I doing?
Right? Yeah, like Birkenstock Bostons. Adidas Sambas now have like been put through their paces and are literally everywhere.
I've been trying to ignore that. I'm trying to ignore that people are going to ruin Sambas.
So like, what's next? What comes after that? What comes after all these?
I don't know. A general fatigue for sneakers altogether. Like I don't really know. Like I feel fatigue on sneakers. I truly don't feel like I want to buy that many anymore. If I buy some at this point, it's purely functional. Every other shoe that I want or that I'm craving to buy is something that would be more of a dressed up shoe or something that would be a little more fashion forward than just wearing like a sneaker.
So I think that is actually that's where my head was going as well, because when I first started getting really heavy into to men's fashion and style, like the shoes that I wanted were like Lanvin, Common Projects, really Mason Margiela, like really high end sneakers, and that's what was like that's what initially pushed the sneaker game kind of forward.
Yeah.
And then like the hype, then StockX kind of came in, and it made it so that it pulled the love and the the desire off of all those, because you could suddenly have really cool shoes that everybody thought were awesome, and they were increasing in value even if you wore them.
Yeah.
Right? So it was like this weird thing where you're like, well, I can either pay $350 to $500 for this pair of shoes, which I will never be able to get any money back from, or I can get Jordans, Dunks, Yeezys, ALD, New Balance, whatever else. And if I end up not liking them, or I wear them a few times and then I'm tired of them, like I'll be able to sell them and at the very least get my money back. So there was like that, at least for me, I definitely felt that shift to that, that kind of list of shoes that I just ran through.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so now I feel like if we've just burned through all that, there's a bunch of evidence that that they talk about here on the Times article as well, that the sneaker resale market is uh plateauing and potentially going to fall off a cliff.
Is this like the watch resale market that's like kind of
Yeah,
teetering
yeah.
out a little bit because all
Yes.
the tech bros don't have as much crypto as they used to, so they can't buy as many Rolexes?
Yes,
It's crazy.
I believe that's correct.
It's
But
crazy.
anyway, so I like where your head's at. That's kind of where mine was going too. I think we could maybe see like a switch back to the super desirable sneakers and shoes coming from the higher end instead of the lower end.
Yeah, yeah. I felt a lot of pressure lately to, if I do buy a pair of sneakers, to buy a pair that I can wear out to a nice restaurant in Austin, being a casual city and everything. But it's really hard for me to stomach that kind of thing. I mean, I'm still checking StockX for the Tom Sachs general purpose shoe in white. I'm
Yeah.
still checking StockX to see if that goes down beneath $200 because
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the only time I would even consider it. And it's just driving me crazy. I 100% blame you for that because you got the other ones and you said they were
Yeah.
all comfortable.
Yeah.
You could wear them.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, I'm going to end up buying these.
Well, so we talked about the common projects thing
Yeah.
a month or so ago, and I had a buddy text me. He's like, I have the same dilemma with the common projects. Like, I can't convince myself that they're worth it, that I shouldn't just keep buying like, a new pair of Stan Smiths or whatever
Exactly.
every like 16 or 18 months. But I just want to tell you, like, I have pairs of common projects in my closet that are over a decade old now.
Do they hold up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like my one, if that's something that you're thinking about, I will vouch for the durability and the quality of a shoe like that, is that they generally, especially that one, which is not really, it didn't start out as like, it's not Saint Laurent or Gucci where they're mostly selling their brand and
Yeah.
their cachet and their funkiness and all that type of stuff. Like, common projects started out as like pushing like made in Italy, high quality leather,
Well.
durable sneakers. So all that to say, like, if that's something that you've been thinking about and it's in your budget, you just are having a hard time stomaching it. Like, I don't really think it's like all that going to be all that regrettable of a purchase. Like, I think it's something that you'll
And
get.
I would
lot
just
out
hate
of.
to be I'd hate to be the dumbass that had a pair of discounted common project sneakers in their cart recently and then returned back to them a few days later only to have them be back at regular price
Oh.
and unattainable. Like, if that was me, like, I'd be
Yeah.
really down on myself right now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that would totally suck. Like, man. Hey, before we get into the rest of this list, I want to quickly talk about our friends over at Shopify. I don't love getting notifications pretty much on anything. When I get text messages on my laptop, I turn everything on Do Not Disturb. But one notification I love to get is that cha-ching noise from that Shopify storefront. That's your sign this year to finally forget about those run-of-the-mill solutions and instead start your own New Year's revolution. It's the sound to start selling on Spotify. Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Whether you're selling sneakers like some of these people out there, or just pretty much literally anything in life, Shopify simplifies selling online and in person so you can focus on successfully growing your business. They cover every sales channel, from an in-person point of sale system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform. It even lets you sell across social media marketplaces like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. If I can figure out how to sell through our Watch store something through Instagram on Shopify, I promise you, you absolutely can too. They make selling stuff so easy. They're packed with industry-leading tools to ignite your growth, and they give you complete control over your business and brand without having to learn any skills in design or code. I think that's big for a lot of people out there, and probably one of the biggest things that stops people from trying to create a website. Like, oh, I don't know, have you graphic design skills? You don't need them with Shopify. They got 24/7 help. They have an extensive business course library, and they're here to support your success every step of the way. Go make it happen. I've been a user of Shopify for a few years now, and I'm continually impressed by how easy they make it to get a product from our hands to our consumers' hands. They're phenomenal. Now it's your turn to get serious about selling and try Shopify today. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/scaries, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/scaries and take your business to the next level. Again, that's shopify.com/scaries. Butter.
Butter Crocs.
Butter.
Yeah, keeping your butter out room temp so that it's always soft and spreadable.
Are you a room temp butter boy?
So
this is some Midwest shit.
It is. Yeah. And as somebody that visited Indiana for twice a year for all of his childhood, I definitely know that to be true.
Randy, you got butter outside at your place right now?
Nah, we were always a country crock in the fridge, and then you of course you use that for leftovers at Thanksgiving.
Damn, Randy's like, I'll see your Midwest, and I'll make it even more Midwest.
Yeah, I like this idea. I like the idea of butter always being soft. I think that I can't get over the just like that little voice in the back of your head that's like, is this butter good?
Why
is it still good?
Why is this dairy outside?
Yeah, should this dairy? Yeah.
Here's the thing, Barrett. Speaking from someone who hasn't had a piece of meat since January 2nd, having spreadable butter for bread and other things is very important, and I don't know if I'll go back to not having it out.
So you've been leaving your butter out?
Oh yeah, for the entire month of January, I've had a thing of butter out.
Nice.
I've never had an issue with it. My mom at our house in Michigan, she has like customized plates that are simply to leave butter out. Butter is constantly out there.
Yeah.
Never in.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes in. But yeah, butter. I mean, yeah. Shout out to the Midwest.
You don't hear about people like constantly getting sick from their butter. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like it doesn't seem like a place that's, just crawling with listeria or salmonella or anything.
It seems like it could be, but yeah, I mean, this has been something I've done my entire life. As far as butter boards go, I don't think those are going to take off at the trajectory that charcuterie, when that took over. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Crafty skills. I mean, people have been giving, arts and crafts for a while now.
Giving pottery.
Does this mean I actually have to learn something?
What have you ever done any DIY? Have you ever done any
It would depend how you would define that. Like, I am more of if I'm going to do something that is considered to be like in the realm of crafty, I'm probably going to sit down with a sketchbook and draw.
Okay.
That is what I've done traditionally in the past when I don't, if like, let's say the cable was out or you don't have any power and I need to kill some time, I'll bust out a sketchbook and try to draw something and kill some time that way. And so I don't know if I'll ever dip into the hardcore arts and crafts. The one thing I would like to do, like let's say tomorrow I come into a bunch of money, don't have to worry about anything. I want to take like an oil painting class.
Okay.
If anyone out there has like a really relaxing oil painting YouTube page that just teaches you the ins and outs, the basics, please send that my way.
So we were actually talking about this. I was talking about this with my design team at Howler. We were just talking about like arts, like painting, arts and crafts. You ever been to Jerry's Artorama here in Austin? And this is something that I think I had known. I kind of like had it in my head that this was probably the case, but I'd never been up there and looked around. But art supplies are really expensive.
They are.
Like oil paints and canvas is like super expensive, which is why you go to some no-name art show that's got like some canvases up on the wall at like some hotel and you like, oh, that'd be cool. And you look down, like the price is like $750. That's because it probably cost them like $400 in materials.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
You know
I mean, even if you get like high quality colored pencils from like even like a Prismacolor set of colored pencils is going to run you a lot. I mean, it's not cheap.
Yeah. So one, it's just like good to know because that's why the floor of art investment is so high is because like shit's not cheap. It takes time. But I'm with you. I think being able to paint and express some creativity that way would be like really cool. Love to get myself an easel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was actually at Home Goods the other day picking up some framed stuff that I had done, and saw an easel there, and I was like, man, should I low key cop this easel right now? I have a friend. So part of what they talk about here is talking about how instead of spending $1,300 on a black turtleneck from the row, that people are trying to do the do-it-yourself clothing crafting. A friend of mine recently started doing this in the pandemic, and the clothes that she is making, I mean, she has no history in this. She didn't go to college for this. She didn't grow up doing this, unless I'm mistaken. But the things that she is making are so incredible. And then now she started making them for her husband, who's very similarly sized to me.
Yeah.
And I find myself going on vacation with them just being like, man, I would love that shirt right now. She hit me up recently and was like, hey, can you send a photo of this jacket that you have? And I was just like, yes, but I know you're going to make a cooler one for him.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he showed up on vacation with us. And he was absolutely flexing on me. I was very jealous.
Well, here's, so I like, this is about the extent of me. These are jeans that I raw hemmed myself.
Oh, look at you. Look at you.
So,
I actually need to do that. I might need to get the Barrett Dudley tutorial on that at some point.
I've done some stuff like that. I've done it to shirts. If you followed along with my content for several years, then One time I also did like a painted pair of jeans. Like I was kind of like doing like a dupe or a DIY version of a pair of Amiri denim shorts. And like what you're talking about, the ability to actually craft a garment
Mhm.
that's so much more valuable and so much cooler because
So
like
cool.
anytime I've ever kind of like beyond really simple stuff like doing a raw hem,
Mhm.
anytime I've ever like DIY'd with like paint or shredding or beads or dye, it's like it's like cool for one wear
Mhm.
typically, and then you're kind of like this. Well, this is kind of shitty.
No, I think
You
I'm
know what I
pretty sure
mean?
we went. I went on vacation with her, and I'm pretty sure that for like the 5-day trip that we did, she said that every single thing that she had packed was something that she had made herself through the
Yeah.
pandemic.
See, that's pretty sweet.
It's awesome, and
Like
like I mean, it's all customized. I mean, it's all fully tailored to you. It's just such a cool skill to have that I will always be jealous. I told Sally, I was like, Sally, don't even bother doing this because you will never hear the end of it if you know how to do this. I'll constantly be like,
yeah.
hey, like I saw blah 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 wearing this. Is there any way you can make me this, but in this fabric?
Yeah. So if you're thinking about taking up an arts and crafts, I might skip like the the arts and go straight to the learning the craft of actually having to sew,
That would probably make
knowing how
sense.
to sew.
They have fake fashion items on here. I don't want to give this any credibility as I don't really want people to be wearing fakes of things.
Yeah, I don't really support the idea of like reps or knockoffs or anything like that. They get into a little bit more nuance with this and talk about like, the kind of classic bootleg Gucci t-shirts and
Mhm.
stuff that's like more obviously fake. Like they talk about a fake Birkin bag that is emblazoned with like a print that says you fake like this Birkin. And so some of that, which is like kind of flaunting the fact that it's a rep or a
It's just a
dupe, is
slippery
like
slope.
is okay. Is I get it, but
Mhm.
yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not all that into like the idea of just like copping a fake Louis
I don't like the idea of
off
green lighting
in a back room
people.
off of Harlem in Houston.
Yeah, like I don't want to green light people just like
Harwin,
buying
excuse me, not Harlem.
fake stuff. Like it just doesn't feel right to me. Like
Yeah.
I just don't do that. People
Yeah.
work really hard trying to do this shit. I'm not saying we all need to go support like Gucci and stuff like that.
Right.
But I don't like the idea of using of just this concept bleeding over into other things and like being able to justify stuff by saying like, oh well,
Yeah.
it's a bit. No, don't care. Hair care in favor of skin care. This one for me, Barrett, I have to admit, I don't see skincare going. If this was 2024 right now, I might hear this. But given how many celebrity skincare things are out there, given how successful the entire like wellness and beauty industry has been over the last few years, I just simply don't see skincare paling in comparison to pretty much anything else that has to go with your body.
Yeah. Maybe it's just the addition of hair care.
Yeah,
being
it could be the
more in the
addition.
conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd be fine with that.
And we have talked about like the idea of like skincare routines getting way more minimal. I know that's something that's been trending recently. It's like you don't need 14 products. You need like 2 or 3
Mhm.
for like a good skincare routine. And so that's the piece of it that maybe I see like kind of being accurate here is that because the trends are kind of like backing off of so many things for your skin,
Mhm.
you'll have more time, energy, and money to like, well, hey, maybe it's hair, maybe it's nails, maybe it's other stuff. So I can kind of buy into that one.
Have I told you the unfortunate news?
If not,
I have been doing Sally's skin routine with her every single night.
the slug face.
I've been slugging.
You've been slugging.
I've been making my skin guess at what's going to happen next a lot by just mixing in different stuff. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy doing it. It makes me feel like I'm like getting taken care of and pampered.
Yeah.
I don't see myself doing it if she's not home. If she's on a girls trip or something. It's not happening.
Mhm.
But like now I'm sitting there. I'm like, is it time? Is it time? I have this little headband that I get to put on. That,
Wow.
keeps
You're-
my hair
you're-
out of
yeah,
my
you're
eyes
all-
and
you're
stuff.
all in. You're all in. On
I
this.
sometimes wear it into bed, and she's like, "You
Yeah.
don't have to wear that." I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay. I like it. I don't get this one, Barrett. Justice for hoodie and shorts, guys. People have been wearing hoodie and shorts proudly for a very long time.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's. I mean, like, look at Hailey Bieber's out there wearing Princess Diana fits every single day.
That's right. Yeah.
Kanye West was doing it for years.
I think they just mostly wanted to gas up John Fetterman here.
Yeah, they're just trying
and,
to
like,
get J-Fed a
and,
little,
like,
little,
just
little
be like,
love.
hey, professional guys can wear schlubby stuff too.
Yeah,
That's chill.
I mean, people have been doing shorts and everything and hoodies for years.
talking to strangers. I know I like this. I like the idea of this.
If there's one thing that I could do more of just in life, especially post-pandemic, and this is something I've kind of realized lately, is that I need to be a little more free about talking to people, about seeing people, about
Yeah.
saying yes to plans, about things like that.
Yeah.
I think, and I think it's taken me a long time to come to the realization, but I think that being locked up for so long, I think it did have a much more significant effect over me in life than I gave it credit for. I do think I have a little tinge of like social anxiety when it comes to doing things. I think I'm a little less likely to step out alone to go to an event without somebody going with me.
Yeah.
And I think that I use other excuses in order to do that. But if there's one thing that I would really like to do, it would be to definitely talk to strangers more, to be an outgoing person, to go to things alone when I'm invited, things like that.
Yeah, and for me, this like the way that this is framing in my mind is just like if we're dealing with supersized lies and outsized media personalities and like all of this stuff kind of like pulling to the extremes, like in the the kind of virtual and media world, it's like the one place that you can pull that back in is like in your actual physical day-to-day interactions and like real life essentially.
Yeah.
And that's just like sometimes that just kind of manifests in like telling the person in the grocery line behind you that like, yeah, those sumo oranges are really fucking good.
Yeah.
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 Just like casual comments that are that just like kind of like re-energize the bonds of society that we did lose over the last 3 years.
Forget. Like I recently had someone say, like we moved into our apartment during at the tail end of the pandemic. We didn't really know anyone in the neighborhood, and we had some friends move in the neighborhood. And they're like, "Yeah, so who do you guys know in the neighborhood?" And we were like, no one.
Yeah.
Like not very many people. No one we hang out with regularly." And it was just kind of like, "Oh shit!" Like, yeah, it's weird, but yeah, having those conversations are kind of energizing sometimes. I saw a woman randomly while I was walking my dog recently, and we started talking, and I told her I had a kid, told her his name, and she was like, "Oh my God, I had a really good friend named Fritz, blah, blah, blah." And suddenly we found this weird bond that lasted for 10 minutes at the park. And I was like, that was a really enjoyable time. I just talked to a random person.
Yeah.
The final on the list, Barrett, is a crusade against caffeine.
I can see this coming. I can feel this coming. God forbid we just let people enjoy things these days, right?
I am very much in favor of this.
They already came for the booze,
I'm okay with the caffeine getting attacked.
Is that right?
During lockdown, I stopped drinking so much coffee, and I started drinking a lot more tea, and I stopped drinking. I pretty much cut my coffee intake in half overall. Where I am now, I drink 2 cups a day. Where I used to drink 2 in the morning, then I used to go to work and I used to just pound it all day, like all day.
Okay.
I never do that anymore. I very much stopped drinking it as much. I mean, espresso martinis, I don't think are going anywhere. I think we've proven that those are going to be on pretty much every menu for the rest of the year.
But why we got to crusade against it?
I don't know.
Why don't we just let people drink coffee or tea or or neither and drink water?
For me, it's all the other caffeine drinks that are coming out, whether it be your Celsius, your just whatever all those drinks are now. I just think like we're overdoing it when it comes to how you get caffeine. I like the classic cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I just don't need, here's one thing I don't want, Barrett. I don't want to go to a convenience store one day. I don't want to see something and want something other than just like a bottled water. So I go get a can of this thing, and then I realize it's got 400 milligrams of caffeine in it, and I'm bouncing off the walls.
Right.
I don't want to be one of those people that goes to Panera and accidentally drinks one of the Arnold Palmers there that makes you tweak out. It's just scary.
Yeah.
But I do think people I think it's comparing it to alcohol, I think is smart. I believe people will start to gravitate away from this stuff a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you're right. Like, it's just like, it's like, everybody's just trying to like differentiate themselves in their own personal brand. And so like going against the grain on things like alcohol and caffeine, I feel like it's sometimes just kind of transparently just, it's just being different so that you stand out more in like a crowded place.
I won't tell people to stop drinking caffeine. I will tell you should limit it and be careful. Be mindful of your caffeine intake.
Yeah.
That's what I'll leave it with. Oh, I didn't even expect to talk about that entire thing today, but here we are.
I mean, it was really just ripe for content.
It was it was kind of perfect for us. Well, right now, we've got a few more things I'd like to talk about. I think the next things go somewhat hand in hand, so I'm going to make sure that they just end up that way.
Okay.
What we have here are some things that have popped up recently that have really tickled my fancy, and these are in the areas of drinks or food and drink. We have the New York Happy Meal. We have the Vermouth and Soda, and we have Tom Hanks's favorite cocktail. Let's just start with the New York Happy Meal.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the New York Happy Meal was, but given our conversation on the last episode about being retail therapy sober, California sober, New York sober, whatever, when I saw that the New York Happy Meal was in fact just a martini and French fries, there was something inside of me that smiled. It wasn't my actual face. It was something in my spirit that thought to myself, you know what? I would love to start asking my wife, "Hey, you want to go grab a quick New York Happy Meal real quick?" Because I think too often we go to restaurants, we have a drink, and I think sometimes sharing some fries and getting some shared fries going is an important way to bond.
I mean, fries are my favorite thing to order essentially anywhere, and I feel like restaurants, hotel bars, they generally do fries extremely well,
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and shout out Clark's for the shoestring fries. Obviously, we've talked about their martinis before, and then the South Congress Hotel, which has an amazing order of malt fries and a great selection of drinks. Pick your poison, but assorted classic martinis are definitely on the menu as well. So when I've heard this before, I don't feel like this is super new.
I don't think it is either.
But reading about it just made me start thinking about my favorite places in Austin to do this type of thing, and those are the two that popped in my mind.
I think we might need to start doing a New York Happy Meal review in Austin. I think next time we go to a restaurant, we need to start doing this on the.
I'm sure Grub Street would love to have you ghostwrite for them.
No, I would rather do retail.pod on Instagram. I think we have more to gain from that.
That's
than,
probably
than
true.
Grub Street. Yeah, they've got paywalled content sometimes that just makes me want to get really angry, especially given the fact that I paid for that subscription for a while and was still locked out of some of the content, which I think was more of a technical error than it was anything else. Well, we have another cocktail, or I guess not another cocktail. We have a cocktail that's been having its moment lately. And this is one that I don't know if I will be able to get on the train with, and that is the Vermouth and Soda. I don't know how much we're going to be able to read here because it is from a Wall Street Journal article, which is aggressively paywalled most of the time, but it does look like we got something. Where do you stand on just Vermouth?
I mean, I love it in Manhattans and martinis and Martinez, which is a drink that I like to have. Shouts to Club Cool's own Phil Battaglia. But I'm bumping on just straight Vermouth and Soda. That seems weird to me.
I don't think that I drink good enough vermouth in life to know what drinking vermouth and soda would actually taste like. I worked with a French woman for a very long time. She and I became pretty good friends. She really aided in me being able to understand French people speaking English.
Okay.
I got the accent down pat, so I'm very good at that now. But she was a big drinker of vermouth, and I never understood it because whenever I would even smell it or put too much in a martini, I would just get absolutely disgusted. And so I think maybe my issue here isn't that I don't like vermouth. I think it's that I need to expand my vermouth horizons.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'll do a little tasting next time I see a nice vermouth sitting around somewhere.
Well, so I'm pretty sure, and I think this article on Wall Street gets into this a little bit, but like vermouth is an aperitif. It's low it's low proof.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this is like a way.
It's like 30 proof, isn't it? Something like that.
Maybe something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be more.
But it's not 80 proof. It's
No.
not vodka. It's not rum or bourbon or anything like that. So this is like I feel like this is something that's been kind of bubbling as well as these ways to kind of have a cocktail that kind of like sustains rather than continues to
That's why
get you super drunk, right? Or that you start a meal or finish a meal with, and it's not like you're like, just piling on an additional 200 calories and like an extra 6 hours of hangover the next day. Like
late 20-teens, Will was a big fan of doing the Campari soda while out
like,
drinking during the day, and that was it was. I mean,
one.
or just a general spritz in general, and that was because that was during my partying days when I was going and taking that day drinking and going late into the night.
Right.
And so I would start with that because it would kind of keep me a little safer. And these days I don't do it as much, but when it's hot outside and a cocktail sounds good, I do gravitate towards a spritz or something that's going to be a little less, not as high ABV.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to get that. I don't want to get smoked while the sun's up most of the time in my life. But I do think with the younger people in life not drinking as much,
right?
I just see this kind of stuff going further and further.
Well, if it pops up on see, this is for me like we're back out there, we're back doing things, we're going to places and having those experiences and ordering drinks out. So like, I just need a place to put this type of stuff on the menu for me, and I'm certainly willing to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to go into like Specs or Total Wine and be like, show me the vermouth section, please.
Have you heard of Body?
The song by Megan Thee Stallion.
I mean, that's not what I was talking about, but that does work. Yes.
Yeah.
Body. It is a type of vodka developed by Jilly Hendrix. Does that name ring a bell with you?
It does not.
Okay. She's got some type of internet fame. She's been on a podcast with Lowe and former podcast guest of the Sunday Scaries podcast, Greta Titelman. But she has a new vodka company, and it is called Body. It's light vodka with natural flavor.
Body, yada, yada,
Okay.
yada.
30% alcohol by volume, 60 proof.
Okay.
While I'm not in love with it and racing to the store to get it, I do think it's a very interesting idea to have a 60 proof vodka that kind of keeps a little bit in the tank rather than
Right.
just absolutely splashing down on, and then by your third martini, you're getting
Yeah.
dragged out of the restaurant by
Yeah.
your friends and thrown in an Uber.
Okay. Now, and here's the thing. Like, I think that this will be like a generational thing too, right? Because I've been trained that for my $16 or give or take $5 in that equation, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm gonna get a pretty stout drink.
You're like, oh, well, you're paying double prices.
Right. Like, if I'm going to go to a bar, a nice restaurant, and I'm getting that $16, $18, $22 cocktail, like, better have a little kick to it.
Mhm.
So I'm going to have a hard time paying that same price for way less alcohol.
I need the
So
I need the wine menu, wine list, wine by the glass, cocktail menu, low ABV options.
But don't you have a sense that the lower ABV should be like $4 cheaper?
Yeah.
But they won't be.
No.
And I feel like
Especially in a
I
place
feel
like
like
Austin.
the younger people who are not already, 20 years conditioned to that way of thinking and are just like more invested into the health of the drink or the lifestyle that they're adhering to, will just be more ready to fork that over.
Yeah.
Whereas like I feel like I'm gonna be like just kind of, ground into this idea that like that expensive cocktail, it needs to do something to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Everything you're saying is valid.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
have much of a refute. I'll try Vermouth and Soda. I'm not guaranteeing I'll like it, but if anybody does have any good vermouth recommendations that won't break the bank, please let us know at retail.pod on Instagram, because that is something that I think Barrett and I could probably use a little schooling on, unless
Okay.
you're more experienced with vermouth than I am. And our final thing that's popped up, a lot of people submitted this and sent something in about this before we even recorded our last episode, I think.
Yep.
But it was Tom Hanks drinking Coke with champagne.
Diet cocaine.
Cocaine. When I realized that that's what he was calling it, I was like, okay, well, is he doing a bit or does he actually like this? Coca-Cola and champagne. Like, what? Does he actually do this?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's delicious and fizzy and really unique.
I could see. I'm not saying I couldn't see this being really good. It just sounds really sugary and fizzy, and
Yeah.
like you could have one and it would be over. I feel like the Coke would just dominate this flavor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it
Pepsi
might.
and Prosecco need to come out with something that's not cocaine, Coke, and champagne.
But again, I think doesn't this feel like it plays a little bit into the lighter ABV? Like,
Yeah.
instead of a full glass of champagne.
And
you're
I believe
having,
that's why he said he does it, right? I think he said that he did it was because he doesn't want to just get absolutely smoked on
Okay.
drinks.
Okay.
It's a very understandable thing that people
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What's up with these people not wanting to get absolutely hammered, Barrett?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Great question. You're asking the wrong person.
I will only try this if we have someone that's at a party drinking Cuba Libres, and then I have someone there that's pouring champagne, and then I might take a little glass and
What
see
if
what's
somebody
going
has
on.
you over specifically for a diet cocaine party?
If somebody has me specifically over for a
Yeah,
diet
like
cocaine
that's
party,
what's on the menu.
I will
Like,
do it.
Yeah.
Barrett, I think we need to have a retail therapy party
Uh-huh.
where we have
I don't know what to put on the menu though. Between pasta water martinis and Negroni Spagliatos with prosecco,
Here's-
stunning. And now diet cocaine, and now the vermouth and soda, and not to mention espresso martinis and gin martinis. Like, and lagers over hazy IPAs.
Barrett, the bartenders at this party will be quitting their job after we're done. They're gonna be like, no more. Like, this is so you guys opened up the most annoying bar that I've ever seen. Why is every drink weird as fuck?
Yeah. But you know, I don't know how else to try all these things.
Barrett, before we close things out today with our wish list items, I do want to speak very quickly about our friends over at Early Bird CBD. Early Bird gummies are a recreational hemp product that contain 2.5 milligrams of natural THC and around 12.5 milligrams of CBD in each gummy. These things are formulated for fun and to make you feel good. So many people use these for so many different, use cases. Some people use them to sit on the couch and play a little bit of video games. Other people use them before heading out for the night. Some people just use them to straight up sleep. Me, I have no specific use for them, but I love them. Every single person that I have recommended these to, people have gone back and been like, wow, thank you so much. This is the first time I've ever taken something like this, and I absolutely love it. I swear. People live by these things these days. They're so popular, they're so good, and they're made right here in Austin, Texas. So I've got a very special connection with these guys, especially given the fact that I used to live with a couple of them. Yeah. But that doesn't really affect how I feel about the product, because if I didn't like the product, I wouldn't recommend them to so many people, and I wouldn't have so many people waiting for a new code. Right now, you can get 20% off everything at earlybirdcbd.com with promo code WICKS, WICKS. Again, that's 20% off everything on earlybirdcbd.com with promo code WICKS, WICKS. Yes, like the candle. Barrett, before we get into our wish list items, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm currently in the market for a new staple t-shirt.
Okay.
I've been having trouble lately. My old t-shirts that I used to wear all the time, I'll take you back maybe 7 years. I used to be a J. Crew garment dyed guy.
Yep. That's
what I wore for a while. It was easy to get. They were always in stock. I could always get them in my size, and I knew that they fit. I got tired of them. They started to wear out a little too fast on me. I got tired of the style. I moved on. For a little bit, I was doing the Filson tees. I really enjoyed them. The way that they were cut fit my body very, very well. I don't think that's the case for everybody. Finally, I discovered a brand which I think some people around here are familiar with, Aimé Leon Dore.
Ah, yes.
Thank you, Randy, for ringing that bell. And they have since switched their production from, I think it was in Canada where I liked it, to overseas somewhere else. And the shirts have not only gotten larger, but they have gotten longer, and I don't love it.
Okay.
And so now I've found myself at a crossroads. And so, Barrett, what I wanted to ask you isn't where do I go to get the perfect t-shirt, because I think that's something that everybody needs to, find themselves. That's a journey you need to go on your own.
Yeah.
What do you look for when you are shopping for the perfect staple t-shirt? As we know, a lot of guys will buy one t-shirt, realize they love it, and then they'll buy it in a bunch of different colors.
Yeah.
Barrett, if you find something you love, why do you love that specific t-shirt?
So, it changes for me over the as fashion cycles through trends and things come and go, and lengths of outerwear and shirts get boxier or shorter or longer or whatever it might be. So generally, and I can think of a couple of brands here that have become kind of my go-tos. But I what I look for mostly in a t-shirt is versatility.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to wear it on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to feel comfortable in it with jeans or shorts.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to go under a flannel or a jacket or something like that. I just want it to kind of be able to do everything and not be relegated to this t-shirt does this and only this. So I definitely have t-shirts that are like that.
I feel very similar in that. And the one thing that kills me, that really affects me not wanting to wear a t-shirt with everything, is the length of that t-shirt.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me nuts. The two shirts that I named at the end there, Aimé Leon Dore and Filson, they have both made their shirts much longer.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that is almost a deal breaker for me, because I don't want it hanging out of other things that I'm wearing.
Yep.
I don't want to tuck it in when I'm doing something. And I'm just having a hell of a time trying to find some shirts out there that aren't, I don't want something that's boxy necessarily, but I don't want something that is going to fall out the bottom of a sweater and make it look like I'm my 2-year-old son rolling around with shirts that don't fit him.
I'm going to go ahead and plug a brand that I like for t-shirts, because I feel like their t-shirt cut kind of does everything. It falls in a really nice middle ground where it's it's not necessarily boxy, but it's not tailored at all.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fit your early 2010s types of t-shirts where it's shorter sleeves and kind of designed to show off your shoulders and your
Yeah.
pecs and all that. Like
Yeah.
it's still got some of that relaxed feel. And then the length is like, I'm a short guy, so like a lot of stuff is a little bit long on me, but the length is it's perfect for almost everybody. Even I like the length on these t-shirts. Standard, it's called standard issue.
You recommended
Yeah.
them to me at one point, and I actually meant to go back and like actually ask you about this, but I never did.
They used to, the price is great as well. Like it's $35 a t-shirt, which in this day and age is like they're made in the US, 100% cotton, a lot of garment dyes and washes in addition to solid colors. So it's like feel really good about the price and the to value ratio there as well. Only potential drawback that I could see some people having is that like their little logo is embroidered on the bottom of the hem. And so like, if it's hanging out of a shirt or a jacket, you might see it.
Yeah. And then
that's a small drawback. Like, it doesn't really bother me ever because it's pretty small.
I had an
But it is
interaction
there.
today that lent its hand to this, and it was Streetwear Night Live on Twitter was tweeting about this Carhartt collaboration. He was excited for it to come out, but he wanted the logo to get dropped. And I responded to the tweet and said, the logo stays. And he's like, he said something to the effect of that he's swallowed the no branding pill to the point that he can't return it at this point. And while I am very anti logos on stuff, like I don't think as small as the standard issue one is, I don't think that would be something that bothers me. But I also think there's something about the Carhartt logo that you just can't get rid of. And I think, but I also have the Michigan tie to Carhartt. It's been present in my life for so long. But like, I almost feel like this on these is so small that it's inconsequential at the end of the day.
Yeah, there it is right there if you're watching us on YouTube. But yeah, by the way, these used to be really hard to get. They finally like upped production. You can see how many colors they have. And so it's definitely worth a shot if you are also struggling to find a t-shirt.
What's the material of that t-shirt?
100% cotton.
Is it what's the feel of it?
It's not like it doesn't feel like a vintage tee, like in that kind of open-ended, scratchier, heavy, super heavy like type cotton like Carhartt uses on a lot of their stuff. But it's also not too like suede or Pima feeling. Like it's just like a nice ring spun cotton that has like a pretty soft hand, but still has some structure.
Ooh, that's music to my ears.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. It's my best go-to. It's my best, when I get to ask this question, it's easy because the price is right. The cut's very, very versatile. They have a lot of colors and it just like fits the bill for a lot of different reasons.
I'm going to have to take a flyer on one. Yeah. I've got a couple that are coming in the mail this week from different companies, so I can test them out.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to the point where my old staple t-shirts are looking raggedy, and with us looking at spring relatively soon, I'm just worried that I'm going to reach a point in spring where I realize that I can't wear a sweater or a pullover over something, and I'm going to have a bunch of stained, gross, dirty t-shirts. So let's do it. Wish list time. Barrett, what's on your wish list this week? You got anything for me?
Let me choose between a couple. If you've got yours teed up, I'm gonna let you start.
I can do mine.
Yeah.
So mine is less that I'm in love with this product. It's more that this product is available currently from somebody who I've recently trusted, and a brand that is just now starting with their men's stuff. Last night I had a realization, Barrett. I was freezing cold. It's unnecessarily cold in Austin right now. And I was standing in my apartment and I was just freezing, and I was like, I need to go bundle up a little bit. Walked into my closet, and I realized that I had donated so many pairs of my athleisure stuff that I really had one pair of cozy sweatpants or joggers left.
Yeah.
It was a pair of Cloud Knit Outdoor Voices joggers. And so I said to Sally, I was like, you have so many different pairs of sweatpants and things like that. I need to up my game. So I've decided I'm going to get some nicer sweats that I can walk around the house in, cozy up in. And given that I have none, I've chosen the BLT sweatpant from Air, spelled AYR. I thought it was pronounced AYR for the longest time until I was recently told it wasn't.
Yeah.
But their men's stuff has been great, and I'm just kind of into the color of these. The cut seems fine. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna see what happens.
What is the color of these?
Just almost charcoal. Is that what you would say? This says asphalt.
Asphalt? Yeah.
Asphalt.
So, okay, like a dark gray, like kind of getting over to black almost.
One issue I have is that one of my favorite sweatshirts is a kind of dark gray sweatshirt. And I'm always going to want to pair these together into a matching set. And I'm never going to be able to do that because there's no way that they will be similar enough colors to do that. And
my guess is that Air has a matching.
If you're trying to get me to buy an almost identical top to match the sweatpants, Barrett, I got news for you. I can be convinced. So I might have to do that if the sweatpants go well enough for me. But yeah, I'm not necessarily big in on athleisure or that whole thing right now. I'm actually more out on wearing joggers than I have been in a long time. I'm wearing them less. But in terms of just at home comfort or letting the dog out, taking a walk at night, I do need some sweatpants, given that I have zero. So I'm going to add some unnecessarily nice sweatpants to my wish list and be a little bougie today.
Okay. I've decided where I'm going to go with my wish list today, in honor of us talking about sneakers and then talking about where the push might go to next. I feel like it's been a little while since Converse had its turn to bat.
Okay.
The Chuck 70, it's always something that's there. It goes with everything. I still wear a pair all the time. Right. I don't think it ever really goes away. And I'm not saying that the Converse Chuck 70 is about to be the hottest sneaker in the game again.
No, Barrett said it. Hold him to it.
But what we did talk about is luxury and designer takes on some of these silhouettes potentially coming back. And so I've come across a fat chunker of a shoe that's very reminiscent. You're going to recognize the silhouette here. It looks a lot like a Converse Chuck Taylor. It's got the same rubberized toe cap and all that type of stuff. But this is the Kurt sneaker, Kurt, from R13. And it's obscenely priced, and I fucking love it. And I want a pair of these to stomp around in.
What's the price, Barrett? I want your mouth to say it. For the people at home.
They're $470.
Yeah, now we're talking. Yeah. These are we got a little criticism from a listener one time about how the things on our wish list were too expensive. Okay. I got news for you out there. If you think the stuff on our wish list is too expensive, that ain't changing. I think if anything, I'm going to put stuff on my wish list this year that is so expensive that I'll never actually be able to buy it.
And look, our wish list. We did a good job last year of kind of splitting, right, between like imminent cops.
I think too good of a job.
Imminent cops and wish list.
Mm-hmm.
Like the wish list is stuff that's just kind of like pie in the sky. Like, might I end up with a pair of these at some point in 2023? Sure, but I'm not going to pay $500 for them.
No, for me, a wish list is most of the time just a don't forget about this. And when you return to it, maybe you still like this. Maybe you like something else in that same style, or maybe you forgot that style existed.
Yeah,
and I just kind of like having that kind of stuff.
I can pull up some other colors here while we're just bouncing around. But no, that's like. We always have a hard time with that I think, or I know I do. Like I do feel bad sometimes about putting a pair of shoes like up here like this, but like is it that much fun if I put like the standard issue t-shirt on as my wish list item?
Yeah, it's like, no, I need a new spatula.
Right. Like, so it's kind of like,
I do.
Sometimes it's tough because it's like, we want to talk about things that are fun and kind of, and borderline silly. But
scroll down to the other colors here. Well, yeah, that's why we started this. It's a window shopping podcast.
Yeah.
Where sometimes we have a pasta water martini, walk into the store and buy them. Keep going down to the other colorways. I think they had a Will to Freeze colorway down there for us. Nah, must have been mistaken.
What color was the?
It just looked like it might have been like hunter green.
Oh yeah, there was a hunter green. There was a hunter green. You bet your ass there was, man.
Oh yeah, right there she is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that looks like my car.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yep. Yeah, you'd love to see that.
But just God love Essence with the styling here. I mean,
wild.
You want to see what the shoes look like in a fit, and so their answer to that is to put the baggiest pair of pants that they have in the styling room on with them, so that you can't even really see the shoes in the. I was recently
asked the question, what pisses you off the most on a website when you're shopping for something on that website? And I said, when they show a model wearing it, but it's completely covered by something else. They're wearing a sweater, but it's underneath a jean jacket that you just can't see shit from. It is the most annoying thing in the world. Well, another one in the books. I feel good about this. The New York Times article really took up a healthy portion of our day, but I think that was just. I think that was just.
You know, it's the beginning of 2023 still. People are talking about the way that the vibes might shift or not shift, and we gotta be here to cover it.
We do. Well, Barrett, unless you have anything else to add, I think it's time we mosey on and go buy some $500 sneakers before they go out of stock.
Yes, sir.
All right. See you guys later.